Hello, second graders. Welcome back to the next installment of Cycle 3 Opinion Writing. Today you're going to need your blue writing folder, a pencil, and colored pencils or crayons. Those colors are going to need to be red, orange, green, blue, and purple. Let's go ahead and turn to page 23 to see what we're doing. Today is day 8, publishing, part 2. Put a check on that bad boy. Oh, see, there we go. Our objective, I can write an opinion paragraph that includes a topic sentence, supporting paragraph, supporting reasons, and details, and a concluding sentence. Okay, to do this, we are going to pick up where we left off, both with our sample paragraph and with our own examples. Let's go ahead and look at our sample paragraph. We started off with the first part by going ahead and underlining the key components of what we're working with. In this case, we did our opinion, which is in green. I think that all students should learn about Ruth Bader Ginsburg. The first transition word, remember a transition word or phrase is something that ties together our sentences. Our first reason, which we did in blue, and in purple, are examples and details. Let's look at the second half of this paragraph. We start off with the transition word, next. Next is a good one. You could also use second in this case because you know this is the second part of your reasons. To follow that up, it says, she fights for equal rights for women. That's a good reason. Let's go ahead and take our blue. I've already underlined it, but I'm going to re-emphasize it because it is a bit light colored. That sentence is followed up by another transition. For example, I wrote a whole bunch of transition phrases already. Feel free to pause if you want to look at them just to get extra examples. Back to our paragraph, it says she goes to court to fight for equal treatment for women. There is our reasoning. And an example is, not our reasoning. There goes our examples and details. Our reason was earlier. In a 1973 case, a woman in the Air Force applied for benefits for independent husband. This is a continuation of that example. The Air Force had told her she would have to prove that her husband was dependent on her, even though men in the Air Force did not have to do the same. Ginsburg argued this practice was discriminatory, and the Supreme Court agreed. It's a long example, but it's very specific, and by specific, we mean detailed and focused. There is no question as to what's going on here. It is very articulate. We then finish that off with, I hope you understand why Ruth Bader Ginsburg is so important. That would be our concluding sentence. So we're going to underline that in orange. The concluding sentence, of course, ties the whole thing together. So what's that mean for our actual paragraph? Well, we're going to look at page 26, which was part 2 of what we were working on. For my example, I start off part 2 with a transition word, next. That was not in my original phrasing, but it says next. She was part of history. For example, she was one of the first African American students to go to an all-white school in a time when segregation was still going on in the South. You may notice that I changed that from my original second example in detail. I looked at it and thought that my first argument really wasn't where I wanted to go. You can change things if you're not liking the way it sounds. Make sure your facts are correct, but there's nothing wrong with looking over and going, I think it could be better. Which is what I did. So, I also went ahead and changed my conclusion. Now, I didn't change it a lot, but my initial conclusion was I went for our restatement of the topic sentence. That's why Ruby Bridges should be taught to second grade. I added one extra detail that says she proved even children can change the world. It's a small detail, but I thought it did a great job at tying our sentences and our concluding sentences together. You can do that. Again, if you read your sentences out loud and you think I could do better or this would sound better, feel free to change them. We want you to put forth your best effort and your best writing. Remember, you're trying to convince us of something. The better it sounds, the more likely you're able to do that. So, second graders, go ahead, finish up that paragraph, and I'll see you in the next installment.